In 1990, Puerto Princesa, the provincial capital of Palawan, the Philippines' last frontier, was a typical Filipino town. 400 years of brutal Spanish colonialism and another 100 years of day-by-day environmental abuse took its toll. From rainforest to reef, the environment was gone. Bare earth ruled, and life was hard. Despite a relatively small population of 200,000, Princesa's forests were gone. The reefs were dead, and illegal fishing and logging ruled the landscape. Then, in 1990, Princesa's water supply went dry. Local artists, led by children's book publisher Jane Timbangkaya Urbanik, looked up to the mountains and saw no trees. Without trees, the bare hills behind Princesa held little water. When it did rain, water quickly washed the bare earth down to the sea, robbing the land of its topsoil and allowing siltation to kill what was left of the reefs. Puerto Princesa was a man-made disaster 500 years in the making. The loss of land and marine resources left the city incapable of feeding its own people. Even worse, the land threatened collapse, waiting for a strong rain to send liquid land flowing into the city, burying the population in a tomb of their own making. With a mayor who had done nothing for the past 2 decades, the artists decided it was time for a change. They commandeered a charismatic character who headed the local numbers racket, Edward Hagedorn, and encouraged him to run for mayor. Hagedorn won, inherited a shambles, evolved into a Mr. Straight Clean Jean, and the miracle of Puerto Princesa was born. 16 years and 2 million trees later, with global warming breathing hot air down its neck, this small frontier town proved that anybody can come back from environmental meltdown and eventually flourish. Today, Princesa's forests and reefs stand as proof that even in the Philippines, communities can control their own destiny. To show you how, let's follow the footsteps of Jane Urbanik and Mayor Edward Hagedorn and see how it's done. John Gray studied Puerto Princesa for 12 years, skeptical that anything in Asia can be so real. Finally, he can vouch for the miracle of Puerto Princesa, the most turned-on environmental spot he knows. Welcome to the never-ending forests of Palawan, the Philippines. The fact that this one municipality can survive and prosper in this place stands as inspiration and hope for all of us. The thick green forest, jungles, and mangroves around Puerto prove that just a few people, clever, energetic, normal folks like you, can make a difference when you make a true commitment, backed up with creativity, hard work, and honest government. This video is a tribute to the people of Puerto Princesa and how they created and keep a green paradise in a sea of environmental destruction. When John featured Puerto in his gray area environmental column in a Phuket, Thailand newspaper, a reader asked, "Are you saying that all it takes is a strong and determined mayor to make a difference?" This video answers with an emphatic yes. After 2 years in production, we can show you how Puerto Princesa became paradise, hoping to inspire you to create your own pista or festival in your own town, in your own way. Inspired by an Aquino government invitation to shoot a 1988 documentary on the underground river, John Gray finally visited Puerto Princesa once post-Marcos politics stabilized. When Mayor Ed and the Big Monkey, as John is affectionately known in Thailand, finally met in 1996, they instantly knew they shared a visionary bond. Both saw the future and knew their commitments. But would it be enough? Only one way to find out. Do it. Today, Puerto Princesa stands as an ideal environmental model. But before discussing Princesa's eco-development, centerpieced by this 8,000-seat convention center and sports arena, let's take a look at Puerto's treasure, a land returned to perfect nature. Most Asian harbors are black water nightmares. John and friends took a Baywatch Banca survey around Princesa Bay that revealed endless forests of untouched mangroves, so thick they've never known human contact. No evidence of dynamite or cyanide, even far from town. The mangroves remain perfect. Okay, it's easy to watch Princesa Bay. So they took the Baywatch speedboat on a Honda Bay patrol. They saw countless pristine islands, perfect mangroves, and clean beaches. Where are the illegal fishermen? That species is now extinct in Princesa waters. So John and friends decided to visit the eco-dive resort of Dos Palmas. Dos Palmas was a risky venture for Puerto Princesa. Honda Bay is the east coast centerpiece of the municipality, a series of low-lying islands in a pristine sea. The city needs to grow its economy, but not at the expense of the environment. Dos Palmas filled the bill. The island resort has beefy, over-spec plumbing, guaranteed not to leak back into the sea, connected to its own sewage treatment plant with sludge going back into the vegetable gardens that feed guests and staff. There's a water desalination plant, scuba diving and kayaking, both non-polluting activities, and even a resident marine biologist. As Alec Principe, Dos Palmas research coordinator, explains,
my job here is to ensure the protection of the environment, of which the resort is highly dependent upon. We monitor the waste that is produced by the resort in protecting the complete coastal ecosystem which is found around Arcepi Island. We also conduct field trips and class exercises for the universities, local universities here in Palawan. And we also try to increase the awareness of the guests concerning the diversity of the wildlife and marine organisms found around the island.
The place is so clean and tranquil that dugong hang out in the waters around Dos Palmas, and sea turtles still use the spa's beach for a nesting ground. Each nest carefully marked so eggs or hatchlings are not lost to an errant footstep. On the return to civilization, John and friends stopped at Snake Island for a swim along with the fish schooling in this fertile sea. They arrived at dusk, just in time for millions of fruit bats heading out for an evening of raiding local fruit orchards. From Honda Bay, they continued their marine survey in Ulagan Bay, on Palawan's west coast. Ulagan Bay hosts 17% of all the mangroves in the entire Philippines, a nation of 7,000 islands. As if they don't have enough mangroves, locals continue to plant more. A year ago, this mangrove stand was a mud bank. Now it's a new colony. Just an hour's drive from Ulagan on a bad dirt road is Puerto Princesa Underground River World Heritage Site, centerpiece of the municipality's tourist draw, and at 8 kilometers long, the world's longest tidal sea cave. Hagedorn is so protective of the cave that the national government actually turned management of the cave over to the municipality, unprecedented in the Philippines. Access to the cave is strictly managed, with paddle bancas taking up to 8 people at a time only 1.5 kilometers into the cave, while guided by a local paddler. These days, the underground river has its own town, Sabang, with cozy bungalows, great seafood. Some days it seems you can see to El Nido.